So Muslims get torn between this. They're constantly being filled. What do I do here? If I do this thing, someone's going to see me as a sellout. If I do this thing, I'm going to be seen as keeping it real, but I'm also going to be criticized for being backward. Right? If I do this thing, I'm going to be seen as a sellout, but I'm also going to be praised for being with it and hip and woke. So we're constantly feeling these things pulling on us. And then if you take that globally, it's even more intense, because it's not just keeping it real versus sellout, it's colonizer versus colonized. It's Western, cultural imperialism versus indigenous authentic Islamic culture. And almost any item in the news you see is going to trigger something of this in your mind. Right? So some guy in Uganda says something about homosexuality, and Muslims feel like, this is do I root for this or not? Is this good for me or not as a Muslim? Like the whole world just gets sucked into this polarization of conservative versus liberal, traditionally Islamic versus westernized, or backward versus enlightened. And depending where you are, what your views are, you're going to view the person on the other side of this polarization as simply not understanding it anymore, not understanding Islam anymore, because they're too conservative or too liberal. So what's my other option? So the kind of progressive liberal option is crazy. So where's my other option? Is the conservative one. And the conservative one is also hyperbolically opposed to this one. So they end up, you don't go into a moderate Sunnah of the Prophet approach. You go into this kind of alt-righty, toxic masculinity approach, where you make fun of people who have views different than you. You're like, a real man, his woman listens to him. A real man, he don't put up with this. A real man, his woman's he's gonna sit there with his boys and eat chicken wings, and his woman's gonna bring him pizza slices. He's gonna watch the game. That's what a real man does, right? This is the other. So the problem is, instead of following the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, their understandable aversion to this progressive vision of the world, pushes them into a toxic masculinity vision of the world. And that's a big problem. It's a big problem for two reasons. One, that is a nasty way to live. Two, you're going to get divorced. And I'll add another one in there. Three, see all these Muslim women here? See all these women? Guys, look at me. These women, every day, put up with a level of oppression and attention that you can't imagine. I say this as a white guy who gets treated but I hear this and I see this. I'm sorry that I'm not sorry I don't experience it, but I wish that I could share something with you that would help you relate, but I can't. Right? Any of these women, if they take off their hijab tomorrow and they say, I'm not a Muslim anymore, I'm a progressive, enlightened Muslim, they will be love-bombed. They will get Huffington Post columns. They will get grants given to them. They will be welcomed into the bosom of a society that will reward them for realizing that they were oppressed. And if you don't treat these women with respect, and you don't give them every reason to stay part of your world, they are going to be out of there. So now, I want to actually look at what is the Sunnah of the Prophet, what is the Sunnah of the Prophet in terms of dealing with your family? What is the ideal role model that we Muslims have? Who can tell me? Aisha was asked, how was the Prophet with his family, what did she say? Who can tell me? You with the hat on. Yes, you with the hat on. Well, that's actually a correct answer, but not the correct question. He was walking Quran. Kana fi mihnati ahlihi. Kana fi khidmati ahlihi. He was in the service of his family. The Prophet was not served. The Prophet was at the service of his family. This is a fundamental lesson you have to learn. Real men don't get served. Real men serve others. Real men serve their families. Real men serve their wives. Real men serve their children, because that's what strong people do. Strong people don't hurt other people. Strong people protect other people. And they protect those that they're responsible for. Who saw the movie Jack Reacher 2, Never Look Back? One person? You guys don't travel enough. So it was really interesting. Tom Cruise movie. I love Tom Cruise. So he's he's talking Jack Reacher. You guys know who this guy is? Action hero. Like all action heroes, he's named Jack. He is talking to this young girl who's like kind of living on the streets, and he asks her how she survives. She says, it's easy. You find a group of guys and you go up to the strongest one and you become friends with him. And Jack Reacher's like, what do you mean you go up to the strongest one? She says, the strongest guy always protects you. It's the weak guys who hurt women. It's the weak guys who hurt women. And what does the Prophet ﷺ says? He says to the men, خَيْرُكُمْ خَيْرُكُمْ لِأَهْلِهِ. Ahl means family, but ahl oftentimes, especially in hadith, because Arabs are very sensitive about gender things, means your wives. Best of you is the best to your best of you men is the best of you to your family, the best of you to your wives. If you're a Muslim and you're confused, if you're a Muslim and you want to know how you should live, where should you turn? You turn to the Sunnah of the Prophet, the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet, right? If you look at the Prophet's community, alayhi salatu salam, radiyallahu anhum, right? If you look at that community, what are the ideal role models for men and for women? Do you understand my question? What are the ideal role models? I think if you think about it, there's actually not that much difference between the ideal Muslim man and the ideal Muslim woman. Of course, they have differences in like, for example, women don't pray when they're menstruating. Men don't menstruate, at least if they're lucky, right? Women wear hijab. Men don't wear hijab, right? I'm not saying men and women are the same by any stretch of the imagination. What I'm saying, if you look at their characteristics, they're actually, I don't really know the difference. They're all very confident. They're proud. They're proud of themselves, but immediately humble in the face of the commands of God and the Prophet. When they think they're right, they're committed and brave and courageous and in body and in word, but they immediately submit to the commands of God and the Prophet. They're both, I would just say that they're both extremely courageous. Extremely courageous. And you see, they both feel their voices should be heard. So Aisha becomes a major political actor in the Muslim community after the death of the Prophet ﷺ, and one of the main teachers of the Prophet's Sunnah and the proper understanding of Islam. We all know the story in the Sharh Ma'ani al-Athar of al-Tahawi that during one of the khutbahs of Umar ibn al-Khattab when he was caliph, a woman stood up in the khutbah and corrected Umar a point he was making. Did he get upset and say, how dare you talk in the khutbah? No, he said, actually, you're correct. He changed it. He said, yes, you're correct. I love this story. A woman named Safiya bint Abdul Muttalib, she's during the battle of the trench, she's in one of the Muslim fortresses in Medina, and her husband is Hassan bin Thabit, the poet. So there's this guy, one of the enemy soldiers, going around outside the fort, and he's about to find the entrance to get in. So Safiya bin Abdul Muttalib says, you need to go down and deal with this guy. And Hassan's like, I'm not sure about that. She jumps out and kills him. But then look, this is really interesting. She says to her husband, I'm not going to take off his armor and his weapons because he's a man, I'm not going to touch him. So it's really interesting that don't get this idea that because these women were brave and confident and courageous Muslims, that somehow that means that gender doesn't mean anything. No, for both male and female Muslims in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, that division between gender, that notion of sexual propriety was extremely important. You don't touch a man who's not related to you. Remember, and this isn't even just the Muslims. When the Quraysh came to kill the Prophet in Mecca, then you know the story. They didn't go into the house immediately. Why? They're afraid that there were women folk in there. They would see the women folk. So this is when we think about what it means to be a good Muslim, a confident Muslim, a committed Muslim. Don't get confused by the polarization of the society today in the United States. Don't get confused by the polarization of things globally. Turn to the Sunnah of the Prophet. Turn to the Sunnah of the Prophet. And offer, this is very important, This is a confused country, people. This is a really confused country in a confused time. If you want to help, offer that model to other people. Offer the model of the Sunnah of the Prophet to other men. Offer the model of the mothers of believers to other women in the society.